I've got to give her, I've got to dress her basically. She's pretty naked at the moment, and for this I'm starting out with this lovely, it's such a lovely fresh green, this pale green that we've got, which so if you don't look at it against another color, it could almost be yellow, but as soon as you put it against yellow, you know that it's green. It's that kind of lovely color. So to make this is going to be the petticoat. If I show you on this fairy, she's got it right under there, and it is the purpose for it is to build up a little bit of bulk, so we don't have a really like flat little fairy. We do want them to be nice and I don't know, chubby fairy. So for this I've got a flat piece here. If you need to make this thinner, then split it by pulling it apart like that. You don't want an awful lot, and you can make it longer by pulling it that way. And if you pull bits off, instead of attaching them like this, just lay them on the top and make them part of the thing, the whole part shape again. So you need a good flat piece that is probably as long as my hand. I've got big hands, by the way, there, like that. And then poke, not poke, but pull a hole in the middle. And that hole in the middle needs to be put over the fairy's head. Remember that's where the front of your fairy is, because that's obviously determines that you've got the face at the front. And then all you're going to do is you're pulling that green wool bat down her. So she's facing you now with her face towards the camera there. And hold this nice and tight, and this is where you need your felting needle again, and all you're going to do is, and I'm just going to zoom in a bit again, all you're going to do is you're just going to stab that neatly down so that it reduces in size, and you're only felting the upper part of the fairy's top there, and you're felting it for as long as you are able then to let go of it, because at some point you need to let go of it and it needs to stay in that place. So we're just literally fasten the top part onto the fairy, pull her arms up a bit so you can felt it on underneath. There's going to be another layer going over the top, so we're going to put a white top on her, and this is just so that we build up the bulk here around the fairy, so I'm not too worried if it looks a little bit untidy and fluffy. So just stab the needle into the fairy. You can sort of lift her up and almost stab into the air behind it. Like I say, if you have a felting mat, use it by all means, but it really isn't necessary. So I'm not too worried what the back looks like. I'm more worried about what the front looks like. So I do want to close that gap here where the pink shows, and I'm putting the green right into that neckline. And then once you've done that, you're ready to give her top that goes just over the top here. So for that, you've got this absolutely amazing, this is an Australian merino. It is super soft. It is just, I just could sit here all day and just stroke it. And again, you're putting a hole in the middle there. You only need a very short part because this is to go over her front at the top. And then you're stroking this down just as you did with a green. Put it into place, pulling it down a little bit like that, and then pinching it just as you did with the green under the arms there. And then all you're going to do is, as you did with the green, you're felting it into place so that you can actually let go of it, and start with under the arms. So you want this to sort of almost look a bit like a shawl that's reaching over her upper arm. Do this all around. So we're not actually flattening this wool at the top, we're just needle felting it so it stays in place. And then do that on the other side as well. Under the arm first. And then just around the waist a little bit. If you have a little bit of green showing at the top, that's not the end of the world, because there is actually a lot of green happens with wild roses. So don't despair about that. if you want to see lots of other tutorials that we do, we have got so many now on our YouTube channel, and they're also live streams. So we're adding every week, we're adding at least 2 new ones. So do go over onto the Makers YouTube channel and subscribe. That would be amazing, because we'd love as many people joining us, having all this fun and joining our happy place. Right, so the fairy now has got a top. I'm not worried about this because this is going to be completely covered with pink, the lower part, and the top part looks nice and soft. And the next thing I'm going to do is, I've got this lovely pink wool here. I'm actually going to split this in half entirely. And now I've got to broaden one bit out a bit, and I'm fastening the front and the back of the dress on separately. So to do this, I'm just putting the front on like this, and all I'm doing at the moment is I just stab it in, not very much at all, just so that I can let go of it where her sort of waistline is, because I've got a really lovely rose ribbon in the wool in the fairy kit, which I don't think I've even shown you. No, I haven't. Sorry, I've unpacked that fairy kit and the ribbon wasn't in there. So I'm going to show you this now. It was left out. But you get in your fairy kit, you get this lovely rose ribbon, which I absolutely adore, because you can cut individual roses out to decorate the fairy. And you can also use it as a ribbon, and it works so well as a little belt around her waist. And then you're doing the same at the back. So you're just folding a bit of this wool in. I'm not worried at the moment that this is just a one long strand. I'm going to loosen this out shortly. So I'm just getting her dress or her skirt fastened on, and do this all around. If you have a little bit of green poking out, really just ignore that for the moment. What we want to do is get that belt on, and so this looks very untidy and not very neat at the moment, but that's quite all right, because what will happen is, as soon as you put that lovely rose belt on her, you can pull that really tight and give her the waist that we all wish for. There we go. So, and then you also know how many roses you need for her waist, and then you can cut it to measure. So I think I'm going to probably get away with, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 roses. Oh, do I get away with 4? Let's just see. Yeah, let's make her really tiny around the waist. So I'm going to cut the 5th. I'm going to get away with 4. I know in the past I've used 5 roses, but that's okay. And obviously, if I let go of this now, it will ping open. But what I'm going to do is, this is the back, by the way. You can use a tiny little bit of, you can sew this on if you want, or you can just use a tiny little bit of white wool and stab it into the back so that it goes through the rose fabric and into the back of the fairy. And that will fasten the belt on, and then you can let go of it. And there she has this beautiful decoration around her waist. So now you can work a little bit on tidying her up, because now you know that this is all in place and this is how it's going to stay, and put her arms into a more natural position as well. Felt around the arm a bit more if you feel that needs doing, or just leave it nice and loose, however your fairy has turned out. But there she is now. That's how she looks now. And then here down at the base, you can loosen out these pink fibers so that they become more of a cover and they look a little bit wispier. The best thing what you can do is actually almost sort of teasing, hold on to the body of the fairy and just start teasing a few fibers out, because that will sort of freshen up the look of these wool tops. And like I say, if the sides are showing, that's okay, because it's quite nice to have a little bit of green showing. You can shorten her obviously by pulling more fibers off, but I think that's just given her a bit of a fresher look. But if you like them to be more like this, you could almost twist these ends if that is the look that you like. Whichever way you like your fairy to look.